And welcome back. It's Monday. As usual, I am Old New Dude, and he is
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
I made it a point this morning to remember to announce who we were before my mouth started just going all over the place.
Fair enough.
I gave it
my triplet Targaryen t-shirt that you got me here.
I like it.
For
I'm
those
wearing a knockoff Robert Baratheon real tree shirt.
Well,
I just ordered some more shirts for Christmas. We're doing Christmas shirts. The kids are one style and one color. The ladies of the house are one style, one color, and then me and the sons are one style and one color. So I got to order some more Old New Dude shirts.
I'll probably go with Lemongate in the next chapter, because the next chapter after this one's going to be a Danny chapter.
Well, right now I actually washed all my shirts because I was planning on wearing an Old New Dude shirt, and they're still in the dryer. I timed it completely wrong. I told you I was back on the guitar today. Yep. I lost all track of time, and so I run up there to put everything in the dryer, and the dryer's still going. So, like I said, this is a knockoff Baratheon shirt, real tree. I got like 6 of them because Walmart had them on sale.
Cool.
All right, Game of Thrones Bran 6, short chapter.
Yeah, and then I guess we'll start with me as the person that Casey has declared to be the brains of the operation.
Yes, and I will jump in with my stupid stuff every now and then. So take it away, Brains.
Anyway, we were just discussing how this is actually one of the least fantastical Bran chapters, although it has one of our favorite quotes for implying that Corran's version of Arthur's backstory might be a lie, and when we get there, we can mention some more about that, I suppose. We
definitely shout out.
I could talk about that for just off the cuff anytime, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, shout out to Order of Greenhand, because they're the first ones that I watched that had anything to do with Corn, Halfhand, and Mance and everything.
Yeah, so. Apparently, Joe Magician used to had posted that like long time ago. Had posted in the forums or something about, or maybe the Song of Ice and Fire Reddit subreddit that Mance was Arthur, and all the group think of those Maester Monthly people and so forth, that they like convinced him that he was wrong. He's not wrong. But anyway, all right.
Hey, it's interpretations, like you said.
All right. So anyway, the Karstarks came in on a cold, windy morning, bringing 300 horsemen and near 2,000 foot from their castle at Carhold. The steel points of their pikes winked in the pale sunlight as the column approached. A man went before them, pounding out a slow, deep-throated, marching rhythm on a drum that was bigger than he was. Boom, boom, boom. Bran watched them come from a guard turret atop the outer wall, peering through Maester Luwin's bronze far eye while perched on Hodor's shoulders. So in the recent Girls Gone Canon coverage of this chapter, Manu of the Nauticast podcast mentioned Bran's basket reminds him of a ship's crow's nest. And Bran's using a bronze telescope to better see from above adds to this symbolism. We've previously discussed Bran enjoying the view from above like a god. He's doing so again, but now with the added ability to zoom in on the details.
Manu, that is a freaking awesome catch. I don't watch too much anymore with kids and all the freaking hobbies I got. It's very rare. I'll catch a Green Bard video or the Grease Goblins every now and then. It's just, especially when the House of the Dragon was going on, I wasn't watching anybody.
Oh yeah,
but yeah. I mean,
there was just too much. There's too much content you can't follow at all.
Yeah, I don't have time for it.
Yep, I agree.
But that is a really awesome catch.
Yep, Bran was always given the place of honor at his brother's right hand. Some of the Lord's bannermen gave him queer, hard stares as he sat there, as if they wondered by what right a green boy should be placed above them, and him a cripple too. Such resentment, and they don't even know he will be King Bran the Bastard.
Well, I mean, it's just more of this society. You have an extreme, even if he wasn't ever the King Bran or the future Bran or the three-eyed Raven, whatever he's going to be. He's still an extremely intelligent young man.
Hey, we got a comment.
Oh,
there's the real unsung hero of this story, according to Lizzie.
There you go. Yeah, I got a question about him too. It does have nothing to do with this chapter, and it involves the the three-eyed crow is future Bran scenario.
Uh-huh.
And it's about Hodor not wanting to go into the crypts because the three-eyed crow had been there. All right. If the three-eyed crow, I guess it's not a comment on Hodor, it's just he was in there. If the three-eyed crow is future Bran, why did he need present-day Bran to take him to the crypts of Winterfell? Because as future Bran, he would have already been there.
I don't quite get what's going on there with Hodor not wanting to go down there but being willing to go down there in the future and so forth. I get what the Order of the Green Hand says, which is that therefore there must be some sort of evil presence there or something, or that they're releasing an evil presence by going down or something. Maybe I don't know. I don't think it quite fits the story, but I'm not sure. I can't explain it.
There's definitely I agree with Lizzie. I mean, Hodor, there's a lot going on there, and a lot that I missed, like a ton of it. But he seems to be he knows crap that's going to happen.
Well, and you have to wonder, would he have been some sort of would he have actually been a great soldier or something if not for holding the door?
Yeah, which I mean, we'll get into that here in a minute when you start talking about doors. But something that go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, I just thought that there's actually a lot in this chapter that kind of to me is more interesting if we're going to see similar so either similar resentment or maybe non-resentment as people celebrate Bran as the hero of the story in the end or something. You have to wonder whether George was like saying this is ironic because these same people are going to be like cheering him later kind of thing, or these same types of people. A lot of these people might want to be dead, but the specific resentment coming from the Karstark kids is going to be, they're going to die.
Well, I mean, just to stop and think about it, with Bran taking over Hodor's body, and people openly mutter about him being a cripple in his own hall. Yeah, that he did. Yeah. I thought it was like supposed to be nothing but respect, and you still got people griping.
Right.
Nice call out there, Lizzie.
That's why, and that's why I'm wondering if there's supposed to be a contrast here between the end of the story, right, and especially if the Order of the Green Hand is right and Bran is actually winds up being known as Bran the Bastard, if there'll be a whole lot of this implied resentment, but then it's being overlooked because he's considered the best hero, the best man for the job or something too, right?
Well, I think we're going to find out at the end of this that if the future Bran is what people say and everything, the stuff that he's had to do along the way, going back in time and making the moves that he did, some of it people are going to be pissed off about.
Yeah, and as Guy said, it's Sansa and Bran are probably the two characters that are both going to learn to be brutal, but still trying to be good rulers that are worthy of the people's love. Right.
Well, they'll be taught in a roundabout way. Sansa has more teachers than Bran does. I think it's like a woman ruling thing, aren't straps?
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's the point is that the best rulers don't have to be the martial people that are the greatest warriors, right? And I absolutely, Lizzie.
Yes, definitely. Well, I mean, stop and think about it. A warrior as a ruler, all they know is war. So, I mean,
like Robert.
Well, it's like, I mean, take Tywin Lannister. I mean, complete jerk without a doubt. But for 20 years, the realm was better than it had ever been. The entire time that there was the Seven Kingdoms. I mean, he was a crap father. He's just brutal tactician when it comes to war and everything. But as far as running the kingdom and the day-to-day stuff that went on that Robert didn't want anything to do with, that King AGoT apparently didn't want anything to do with until he started getting the praise to Tywin, and then all of a sudden you want to start throwing monkey wrenches in it. This crap character was actually freaking awesome at his job.
Yeah, I mean well, I mean, the Order of the Green Hand would argue that that's sort of you're looking at that spectrum across these things, right? So you got Aegon the First, who burns everyone in Harrenhal, right? And you've got Tywin, who kills, whole families, floods castles, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got Maegor the Cruel, and their argument is that he might have been he maybe is intended to be just like that, in that he had reason to believe that there was a conspiracy to murder his entire family that potentially would doom the world, right? And
Right.
so he took very drastic action to make sure that would not happen, right? That his family would not be entirely wiped out.
I haven't got to that point in Fire and Blood, but I still know all about what kind of man this dude is.
Right. I mean, it's clear in the main story that he killed all the people that designed the Red Keep and so forth, right? And so they kind of like the ruthless people that are using evil tactics. I tend not to, but I certainly understand that they're all meant to be sort of this same gray action, right? And even the Red Wedding versus Dany killing the slavers is supposed to be like people violating customs and norms in order to do what they are motivated to do, and we judge whether that's good or evil.
That's the quote of the day.
and like most Maegor went on to become a marriage counselor, Lizzie says. And like most of the Targaryen royalty, he had a female heir, contrary to what people act like is unprecedented in House of the Dragon, right?
Yeah. I'm reading Fire and Blood, but I jumped ahead to where the dance is pretty much. Yeah. And I'm a couple of pages into that, and I see the differences from the show to the book. There are things that I think that they're going to do next season that I don't want to say because I don't know who's watching and I don't want to spoil it. But at the very end,
let's talk about that at the end, and we'll give a warning and so forth.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
So others are waiting to join him all along the King's Road, Barrow Knights and Crannogmen and the Lords Manderley and Flint. So other symbolism usually represents those sworn to serve, usually serving high lords or royalty. I think people only tolerate a female heir as an idea until a boy comes along, like a carnation is a filler flower. The girl is the carnation. Well, I actually don't think that's the case. I think we're reading a history that's been manipulated to insert that concept to justify the Green's actions. And the Fire and Blood is actually very clear that the one rule of inheritance that we see that actually got codified into law is that you can never disinherit any of the children of the first wife while they survive for the children of the second wife. And that's specifically, we're dealing with families that have been around for thousands of years with female inheritance being not preferred, definitely, but still there. The only way these families have survived for thousands of years like that is if they do routinely have female heirs. We're told over and over again, a daughter comes before her uncle, a daughter comes before her uncle, a daughter comes before her uncle. Thanks, Conciliator. Anyway, the point is, I actually think that's sort of an invention of the Maesters and the Old Town conspiracy.
Yeah, it reads like that for sure.
Yeah.
Godswood.
The Godswood was an island of peace in the sea of chaos that Winterfell had become. Hodor made his way through the dense stands of oak and ironwood and sentinels to the still pool beside the Heart Tree. So an island of peace could be like the Isle of Faces. Oak and ironwood guard me well.
Yeah.
Bran had always liked the Godswood, even before, but of late he found himself drawn to it more and more. Even the Heart Tree no longer scared him the way it used to. The deep red eyes carved into the pale trunk still watched him, yet somehow he took comfort from that now. The gods were looking over him, he told himself. The old gods of the Starks and the First Men and the Children of the Forest. His father's gods. He felt safe in their sight, and the deep silence of the trees helped him think. Bran had been thinking a lot since his fall, thinking and dreaming and talking with the gods. And if Bran is time-traveling Bran and future Bran is the old gods, then Bran might be talking with himself here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it has to, because you got the Weirwood dreams coming to through with Blood Raven. I think since that third eye, since the three-eyed crow, he's feeling and has a better connection to the Blood Raven dreams, even though it's not the three-eyed crow. It's actually I mean, that just says that, in my opinion, that either future Bran or the Blood Raven is the one that he should be trusting, not the three-eyed crow. I know everybody's like future Bran on three-eyed crow and everything. I'm not there yet, but I just think that the feeling he has towards the Weirwood tree is the cozy, warm, trusting. This is good for me. The Blood Raven is going to be good for him. Just foreshadowing and
I think he's maybe past this threshold where how things play out, right? Because he's hit that key milestone event, right?
Yeah.
If we talk about the concepts of unsound variations and chess moves and going back and forth, he sort of crossed into the. Was he really talking to the gods here, thinking and dreaming? I wonder what he dreamed of before his fall. He probably never paid attention, but if it was known he would fall, what was it before? That's kind of what I'm wondering is has he crossed a threshold where the fall was one of the important moments, and so as he and perhaps his opponent have been making these chess moves of manipulating things and altering the timeline. If he's becoming more one with the trees and the old gods, him being the old gods potentially. Anyway, it's just a thought.
Well, I mean, I thought it was weird that he couldn't hear God speak yet.
Yeah.
Even though Asha said she could.
Yeah. When at last they'd found him down in the crypt, Rickon had slashed at them with a rusted iron sword he'd snatched from a dead king's hand, and Shaggy Dog had been slavering out of the darkness like a green-eyed demon. So there's an interesting symbolism there with the concept of a dire wolf as a frozen hellhound, and they're definitely supposed to be something along those lines, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, Rickon's a badass. I mean, I'm scared of what he actually will grow up into, especially being raised there on Skargos.
Skyghost, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to go. I have to. It was only half a lie. Someone had to go to hold the neck and help the Tullys against the Lannisters. Brent can understand that, but it did not have to be Robb. His brother might have given the command to Hal Mullen or Theon Greyjoy or to one of his lord's bannermen. Maester Luwin urged him to do just that, but Robb would not hear of it. My lord father would never have sent men off to die while he huddled like a craven behind the walls of Winterfell, he said, all Robb the Lord. So Cat will make this exact same observation, and which of course Luwin and Bran have both already made. And when Ned's leg is hurt, he does send men off to die, but he points out he's only doing that because of his leg, right?
Yeah. The man who passed the sentence should swing the sword. I mean, I'm not going to send somebody to do something that I won't do myself type people. And I've worked for managers that were like that, and they were always the best managers to work for. Is because, okay, look, I'm not going to have you do something that I won't do myself, and they get in there, roll their sleeves up, and help out. Granted, it wasn't the whole day; they had other crap they needed to do, but they wanted to spend a little bit of time with
it's important to be in touch with what it means to be doing the job, right?
Set the example, that type of situation.
Yep. Many tried to test him, each in his own way. Bruce Bolton and Robert Glover both demanded the honor of battle command, the first brusquely, the second with a smile and a jest. Roose was always looking for the opportunity to misdirect Robb's forces. Sadly, Catelyn will convince Robb to make a horrible mistake.
Oh, yes.
Yet Robb only said a quiet word. In the snarl and the blink of an eye, Lord Umber was on his back, his sword spinning on the floor 3 feet away, and his hand dripping blood where Grey Wind had bitten off 2 fingers. My lord father taught me that it was death to bear steel against your liege lord, Robb said. But doubtless you only meant to cut my meat. Bran's bowels went to water as the great John struggled to rise, sucking at the red stumps of fingers. But then, astonishingly, the huge man laughed. "Your meat," he roared, "is bloody tough." And somehow after that, the Great John became Rob's right hand, his staunchest champion, loudly telling all and sundry that the boy lord was a Stark after all, and they damn well better bend their knees if they didn't fancy having them chewed off.
I love the Great John.
Yeah, and we discussed previously how John befriends Tyrion in an almost identical fashion, right? Where Tyrion is an unusually small man and the Great John is an unusually large man, but they're both completely laughing and befriending them as they get back up.
Yeah. I mean, they say that he's just as tall, if not taller than Hodor, but twice as thick. I mean, I would love to see Great John and the Mountain fight. You know what I mean? Because even though the Great John would have to look up a little bit, he wouldn't have to look up too far.
Yep.
Hey, we get to the. Hold on a second.
Bloody tough. What?
No, okay, we haven't got there yet.
Okay. Yet that very night, his brother came to Bran's bedchamber, pale and shaken, after the fires had burned low in the great hall. "I thought he was going to kill me," Robb confessed. "Did you see the way he threw down Hal like he was no bigger than Rickon? Gods, I was so scared. And the Great John's not the worst of them, only the loudest. Lord Roose never says a word, but he only looks at me, and all I can think of is that room they have in the Dreadfort where the Boltons hang the skins of their enemies." "That's just one of old Nan's stories," Bran said. A note of doubt crept into his voice. "Isn't it?" "I don't know." He gave a weary shake of his head. "Lord Corwin means to take his daughter south with us, to cook for him, he says. Theon is certain I'll find the girl in my bedroll one night." So Robb knows Roose is the worst of them, and the bedroll plan is a surprisingly effective tactic, best timed for when a Stark hears about Bran and Rick, the two Starks adjacent to them in the line of succession. Right? Because if you believe that Ned is a bigamist, which seems to me somewhat obvious, but obviously most people don't believe this, then he likely took comfort in the arms of the woman he loved when hearing about the death of the two Starks immediately adjacent to him in the line of succession, the one immediately adjacent to him being Bran, and the one Brandon, right, and the one the other one of the two next to him being Rickard, right, and Robb hears about the news of Bran and Rickon, and that's what sort of drives him into the needing comfort in the arms of a woman.
Right.
So anyway. Every traveler told a different tale, each more terrifying than the last. The heads of Father's guardsmen were rotting on the walls of the Red Keep, impaled on spikes. Kind of true. King Robert was dead at Father's hands. Sort of half true. The Baratheons had laid siege to King's Landing. Sort of going to be true. Lord Eddard had fled south with the king's wicked brother Renly. Kind of should have been true. Arya and Sansa had been murdered by the Hound. Kind of the opposite of true. Mother had killed Tyrion the Imp and hung his body from the walls of Riverrun. Sort of almost. Lord Tywin Lannister was marching on the Eyrie, burning and slaughtering as he went. True, but not on the Eyrie. One wide and sodden tale-teller even claimed that Rhaegar Targaryen had returned from the dead and was marshalling a vast host of ancient heroes on Dragonstone to reclaim his father's throne. Interesting concept. When the Raven came, bearing a letter marked with Father's own seal and written in Sansa's hand, the cruel truth seemed no less incredible. Bran would never forget the look on Robb's face as he stared at their sister's words. She says Father conspired at treason with the king's brothers, he read. King Robert is dead, and Mother and I are summoned to the Red Keep to swear fealty to Joffrey. She says we must be loyal, and when she marries Joffrey, she will plead with him to spare our Lord Father's life. His fingers closed into a fist, crushing Sansa's letter between them. And she says nothing of Arya, nothing, not so much as a word. Damn her! What's wrong with the girl? Bran felt all cold inside. She lost her wolf. She's lost her way.
Yeah. We still see, even though she lost her wolf, we still see Sansa taking up some of the characteristics of Arya before all this happened anyways.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Lizzie.
Yeah. I put that up. I didn't say anything because I want to break your concentration on that paragraph.
Anyway, for those who are only listening, Lizzie says, Sybil Spicer says, putting yourself in his bedroll, amateur, goes about mixing potions. And watch over his men, Hal and Quent and the rest, and Lord Umber and Lady Mormont and the other lords, and Theon too, I suppose. Watch them and keep them safe, if it please you, gods. Of course, it pleases the gods if the chess moves play out right, unfortunately, which can result in some pretty brutal happenings. They're sad. Your lord brother will get no help from them, not where he's going. It's pretty ominous. This is about the old gods. We're Osha here. He's still just another old black crow who flew down from the Shadow Tower. He's never tasted winter. I was born up there, child, like my mother and her mother before her and her mother before her, born of the free folk. We remember. So Osha believes Mance was not born north of the wall and that he's never even tasted winter, right? Which implies that he hasn't been up there very long at all, right?
Last winter was what, 10 years prior?
Yeah, and so he probably has tasted winter, but But anyway, he's not believed by the free folk to have been someone who's been up there very long. Corran Halfhand is the one who gives us Mance's false backstory. For more on how Corran and Mance are both lying about their backstories, see Triplet Targaryens episode 6.
It's not an episode without you plug in Triple Targaryens.
Yeah.
I think more people should watch it. I mean, they're
I could be wrong about everything, and it's still as we said, there could be interesting symbolism in the. I believe that these books are intended to be ambiguous, and that he plants interesting symbolism for the things that he doesn't do as much as he does interesting symbolism for things that he does do. I wonder what Osha would think of Bran's journey to Bloodraven, and what she would think of what's happening to Bran. She seems very connected to the old gods. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, that certainly we may find out. I wouldn't be too surprised if Rickon winds up seeing Bran again.
As close as she is to the old gods, it's odd that she didn't make the journey with him.
Well, they had to split up the heirs. Just
right. But I mean, with her having such a good connection with the old gods and north of the wall,
that she would have a more appropriate guide for the ones actually going north of the wall.
Right. So that in my back of my head and the outside the box little tingling of the hairs, I'm like, okay, is what's going on with Bran something that Asha wouldn't approve of? Is there more to it than what we're seeing? And she would be the perfect person to point it out. I don't know.
Bran, no man can teach you magic. The children could, Bran said. The children of the forest. Bran is a surpassing clever boy.
Without a doubt.
To quote Maester Lewin from right above that section, right?
Yeah.
He can't be a baby forever. He's a Stark and near 4. So in Catelyn's first chapter we have, is he afraid? Ned asked. A little, she admitted. He's only 3. Ned frowned. He must learn to face his fears. He will not be 3 forever, and winter is coming. I just think it's funny how Ned and Rob expect so much from a 3-year-old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would think that, they don't got tablets and phones and all that stuff to keep a 3-year-old preoccupied. I'd be honest with you, I'd hate to raise a 3-year-old in this kind of setting. Just the simple fact, you just hand them off to a servant. I'm like, go away.
Yeah. People talk about the terrible twos, but the 3-year-olds tend to be much more difficult.
Yes.
They would never cheer for him that way. I'm not so sure of that. So they're cheering for Rob as he's leaving here.
Yeah, I can see them carrying him like that picture of Bran the Builder. When they were deconstructing the wall, there's that one artist rendition, and it's Bran the Builder sitting on what's it called? The little chair. It's got the poles, and the men pick the poles up.
I'm blanking out, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
Starts with a P, doesn't it? What's the word? Yeah. You had it.
Something like that.
Yeah. When the distant cheers had faded to silence and the yard was empty at last, Winterfell seemed deserted and dead. Bran looked around at the faces of those who remained, women and children and old men, and Hodor. The huge stable boy had a lost and frightened look to his face. Hodor? He said sadly. Hodor, Bran agreed, wondering what it meant. Yeah. Thank you, Lizzie.
Hey.
Eloquent is the word we were looking for.
Eloquent.
I didn't start with a P. I just couldn't think of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I almost said paladin, but that's Star Wars. Thank you, David. With Hodor being that lost and frightened look, that's another one of those situations where it seems, if you look closely at Hodor, that he knows more than the word Hodor can express. He seems to know what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, he definitely has comprehension of things. Lizzie, thanks for being here, because this is one of the least fantastical of Bran's chapters, and so it was probably would have been quite short if.
Yeah, we'll be done already. I still got a couple questions though. First question: why do the car Starks not look like Starks?
Oh, it's been a long time since they were a splinter branch, and I think that's part of the point, right? Is that George is trying to emphasize that we're all related if you go back 1,000 years. In fact, there's a statistical modeling that's been done that shows for a love this chapter. Alice does. There's a I'm not sure what Alice does refers to. What did we say right before this? But anyway, there's a modeling that shows that 1,000 years is about how long it would take for a continent-size landmass for every living.
Partly because she looks.
Every living descendants to have intermarried to the point where everybody alive are distant cousins, and which means that if anybody alive is descended from any royalty of 1,000 years or more, then all of you are, right? And so the point of
Lizzie says that John mistakes.
Alice does. Alice looks like a Stark. She's saying John mistakes her for Arya partly because of her looks, partly because he misses her. Well, partly because of expectations. He's been told to expect her, right?
Right. But still, they seem to me more wildling and more Umber than Starks.
But anyway, the point is everybody. When you say, well, we're related because 1,000 years ago our house branched off. Well, that's literally everybody, right? That's literally everybody is a distant cousin if you go back that far.
Even when they're talking about trying to find somebody to lead the North, I don't know who says it, but every house up there has some Stark in them.
That's what. That's the point, right? Is that if you go back that far, then everybody is cousins. Everybody is kin. The whole concept of kinslayer is sort of irrelevant in an area the size of Westeros, talking about people from thousands of years ago.
Yeah. Next point was Robb also has that Lord's face and Lord's voice that Ned had, which is just another. Even though Robb doesn't look like Ned, he does act like him, and with like the Marion the Westerling girl. So
right.
Would she?
Can you imagine doing a 23andMe in Westeros? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's going to be reported as distant cousins and so forth, right?
Yeah. And then also, everyone will point out that Hodor has problems with doors, foreshadowing Hodor's demise. But it also, every time that we get the Hodor having problems with doors, we get the Bran hurts his head.
Right, it hurts Bran as well, right? It hurts Bran for Hodor to be going through doors. Right.
So when Hodor demises and the whole warging while you're time traveling and messing up Hodor and all that stuff, what does that do to Bran's head when that happens? Just something to look out for. Yeah.
And later, one of the girls thinks that of Tywin, right? The Lord's face. I don't know. Do they interact with Tywin?
That would have to be Sansa.
I guess yeah, she does interact with Tywin in the books. That's true, because he doesn't die until she marries Tyrion. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I don't remember that, but okay.
Yeah. You got better memory than I do, Lizzie, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. And you got Hodor refusing cold water and soap and loving the hot springs. Is that a nod to possible Targaryen blood?
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Okay.
Could that be a clue of some sort of Targaryen heritage or something? Yeah. I don't think he would have Targaryen heritage, but it's interesting.
Well, I mean, what was it? Asha was talking about how a female giant will take a human as a mate, and their offsprings are half and half, and that Hodor has some giant's blood in him when she saw him naked, and he's hairy from head to toe, like a giant. But for the giant to take a male north of the wall, is that a hint that maybe there is Valerian blood, Targaryen blood, whatever, north of the wall, inside the wildlings?
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't make heads or tails, but I just noticed it and said, well, that's interesting. It's sort of like a Targaryen, but I mean, I think you and I are of the opinion that Old Nan is that the Order Greenhand is right. That Old Nan is actually Rowan Weber, right? So that she would have dyed her hair. Her hair would not be red if Bran saw her in a vision, because she's meant to be a parallel to Sansa running away from her Lannister husband and dyeing her hair, right? So and there's quite a bit of references to seem to imply that. The alternative popular theory would be that she's a Frey, and that he's named Walder because he's a Frey, but neither one of those would seem to imply Targaryen blood, right?
Right. Still, though, I mean, that little hint there is just something to keep a look at. And then when Rickon is in the crypts, the little badass that he is.
You know what? It may have been an attempt to tie him to Dunk. So Dunk hates baths.
Well, he takes 2 in 2 days in.
It's Egg that complains that they take baths too much. Yeah,
right. Dunk is like, we got to take it regardless. Old man is not afraid to take take that back.
Yeah.
He takes it back. He apologizes.
No, we don't approve of that. Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. There's a popular theory that Old Nan is a Frey. We disagree with that. We think, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of these theories would say that Hodor is a descendant of Dunk. The point being that we believe that Old Nan is in fact the Red Widow, right? We agree with the Order of the Green Hand that if Bran saw her in the past, she would not have red hair because Sansa doesn't have red hair when she runs away from her Lannister husband. Sansa dyes her hair in order to hide from her Lannister husband. So if Rowan Weber ran away from her Lannister husband, she would have very distinct red hair like Sansa. So she would dye her hair. So if Bran saw her in the past, he would see somebody who did not have red hair if she was in Winterfell. And so we believe that the point is that Lannister wives who run away tend to dye their red hair to avoid being discovered. So we definitely take that back. We are not endorsing that theory. It's a popular theory. You'll see that from other YouTubers, but no, that's not what we believe.
Yeah, and it also, to your point, that just changing the hair color makes people like completely unrecognizable from people that knew him before. What was that? I love that Fernand Weber women are survivors and wouldn't blame her for fleeing the Lannister husband. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Where was I at? Oh yeah, Rickon down in the crypts. I think he's at this point more powerful than Bran. I mean, he's already in the crypts. He knows that's. I mean, he's in the crypts before Bran goes down there.
He represents the wolf taking over. So that he's as much of a wolf man as any of them, and more so actually. So Bran.
I think that has to do with him being able to see what's going to happen, is because he has embraced
Right. Well, the
fully.
point is we keep being told that Bran needs to come back because he's going to get submerged, right? Rickon doesn't have that same level of self-control. He's probably completely blended with Shaggy Dog. He's probably a feral wolf child at this point, right? And
I wouldn't doubt it if he could actually partially understand Godspeak.
Yeah, he may be beyond human because he has probably overdone it with the blending with the wolf.
I could see him side by side with wasn't Shaggy Dog eating a unicorn raw.
So what role do we think the Winterfell Crypts are going to play, and how will it mess with Bran?
We still get the foreshadowing of the crypts opening and the old kings walking, especially when John's dreams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When there's a when there's a last stand at Winterfell, when it comes to the others and everything, they're going to lose, and I think the crypts are the only thing that's going to save them.
Yeah, there's an implication that these may be giant statues. By the way, we may have to pay more attention to those next time we're in the crypts. But I think there's some implication that people are like kind of reaching up to the knees of these statues that are sitting there. That these are giant size statues. They're not life size. And so the concept of these crypts, stone coming to life is sort of in there, right? And I don't know that that's going to happen. As we said, George likes to leave himself open, and hopefully he's sort of weeding out some of these ideas with the weeds of winter, as we keep saying. But or maybe I keep saying, but anyway.
Yeah. I laugh every time you say it, so I agree.
Okay, good. I'll say we then, because we're in agreement on that.
Yeah. But yeah, he's definitely got way too many weeds going on. He needs to, like everybody says, he's having a hard time fitting everything into Winds of Winter.
So, do you have some thoughts on that? What do you think that they're going to wind up coming into the crypts? Do you think that? Yeah, exactly. Well, in fact, Lizzie, I actually think that. Sorry, we both clicked on it.
Go ahead.
I got it. All right.
Okay.
So, like the ice version of Waking a Stone Dragon. Yeah. So, I think that a lot of these ideas are intended to be repeated, and he may not have totally decided which way he's going to go. The way I expect it to go is I expect that there is an actual ice dragon powering the wall that's been trapped as part of the wall, and that it's going to be released, and that's what is part of whatever brings down the wall. The actual act of releasing the ice dragon, much like the act of freeing the volcanoes from the spells that were constraining it, is what causes the doom of Valeria. I think the act of canceling the spell that's trapping the ice dragon to power the wall is what the horn probably does, right? That's probably going to free the ice dragon and bring down the wall. That's my guess, but yeah, very much like an ice version of Waking a Stone Dragon is that I think there's parallel imagery around of the kings coming to life. Dope, she says. So Dany won't lose one of her dragons to the ice. Dope. Yeah, I think that they were told about that imagery, and so they chose to depict it that way rather than introducing a fourth dragon. Anyway, if you look through the books for Ice Dragon, every single reference, there's one reference where Jon is old friends with the Ice Dragon, but every single reference to Ice Dragon is like look, but with and without the apostrophe S, if you search the books. So Sam follows the ice dragon's tail south to get to the wall. Everybody else talks about following the ice dragon to get to the wall from south to go north, because the eye of the ice dragon is the pole star and so forth. And you see the wind at the wall is referred to as the breath of an ice dragon like twice, I think. The insides of the wall are referred to as the insides of the ice dragon. Every single ice dragon reference the ice dragon is hidden. Sometimes the ice dragon is referred to as hidden. So every single ice dragon reference is either it's the ice dragon is friends with Jon Snow, the ice dragon is at the wall, the ice dragon is the direction to go to the wall, both from the north and the south. The ice dragon is So anyway, it sure feels like we're being told that the ice dragon is at the wall, and it feels like there's a sentient power powering the wall, and that it's some sort of ice magic. And we're also kind of alluded to the concept, at least in the world of Ice and Fire, of trapping dragons to power things. And if you look at Davos and Dragonstone, he's constantly thinking about Dragonstone coming to life as a dragon. And so usually when George has given us these symbolic, like metaphorical kind of things, he actually turns around and gives us the actual. Like, for example, with Balon Greyjoy, there's a corpse that's found that literally has had like its eyes chewed off and stuff. So it's literally a faceless man. And so like it feels like the Starks are literally bound with wolves, and and most of these things seem to be kind of the figurative becomes literal. So anyway, just that's my thought on this.
Yeah, on the ice dragon, yeah. I think that's the stone dragon that gets woken, because the wall looks stone.
Yep.
The ice looks like stone when it's cloudy and everything. That's the waking of the stone dragon. That's whoever blows the horn, and as far as what's up there, I'm assuming it's going to be John, possibly, that wakes the dragon from the wall. So he will be the one fulfilling another stone dragon being coming to life.
I wondered about that too. That I've heard people argue that it's actually written as stirred, so it's like that it's a past tense, and maybe Bran is just being poetic about how everybody knows that's where dragons stirred in the past. But I certainly didn't read it that way at the time, and so I agree with you. It's weird that he has this vision of dragons stirring in a shy.
Well, George R. R. Martin had planned on having Danny go to a shy, but he had to cut it. So chances
that goes back to our whole concept of the Weeds of Winter, right? He's having to pull out some of these storylines,
right? So he's not going to be able to see a shy and the dragons that were there.
That may be one storyline that's been dropped, or that is being dropped as part of the Weeds of Winter.
I would love to know what that storyline would have been.
Lizzie says she wants to believe it's a real shadow dragon or some crazy shit.
That would be freaking awesome. They make men. I mean, why can't the Shadowbinder make a dragon?
That's what she just said. Well, I'd like to see Mel birth one of those.
Oh my goodness, it split it right open.
Hey, we probably need to get wrapping it up here pretty soon.
Yeah, that was the last of it. That and Bran wanting at the last moment wanting to tell Rob about what Asha said, but he just happened to it just passed him by.
Well, no, actually, Lewin convinced him not to.
Well, I mean, he's still sitting on the horse, and he's like, he thought about it again, but he let the moment pass, and I'm like, was that somebody?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely a possibility that he needed to not tell Rob or something. Yep.
Yeah. Who we got next? Yeah,
it's Danny.
Oh, Daenerys. Yep, Daenerys. We doing it Wednesday?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Daenerys, Lizzie, thank you for joining us today. It actually made our day. We appreciate it. We wrap these things up pretty quick. That was actually a pretty good live stream considering the chapter it was. It was still pretty short. So thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, Richard.
Was there something you want to say about House of the Dragon and everybody sign off there?
Yeah. All right. This is a spoiler. If you haven't read Fire, if you haven't read Fire and Blood, go away. 1, 2, 3. All right. You got the twins, right? The twins on the night on the night of the Kingsguard.
Yeah.
One's with Rhaenyra and one's with Alicent, and the one with Alicent
or whatever,
sneaks into Dragonstone to kill Rhaenyra, and the one person at the door was his brother.
Right.
They fight, and the one kills the other one. In my mind, on the TV show, if I was going to do it, I would have Alicent's brother be the one that won, but out of respect for how bravely that his brother died protecting Rhaenyra, he would take his place protecting Rhaenyra. But that was, I mean,
that's an interesting concept. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I keep calling HBO. They won't listen to anything I say, but I thought that would be a pretty good little side thing for.
You do have to wonder if Ryan Condal watches, the Order of the Green Hand and Preston Jacobs and things, right? And
he's got
the number of references to bigamy that he's added, and
yeah. There you go.
Letter patches, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I can tell the twins apart if they just label them.
Yeah. Or put a scar on one's neck or cheek. All right, that was a blast, man. I had it. I love it. I wish we could talk longer. Lizzie, thank you again. We will see y'all Wednesday with Daenerys. I have been Old New Dude. He has been
Richard York, Asher's Trueborn son.
And our partner today for the write-ins has been Lizzie Ives.
Yep.
And we will see you Wednesday. Have a good day.
If you haven't checked out Triplet Targaryens, look for Asher's Trueborn son on YouTube and watch the Triplet Targaryens videos.
Yeah, I think I was like the third or fourth person to watch them. They're really good. Thank you again to everybody. We'll see you Wednesday and have fun. Bye.
Go on.